This is the second episode I record that is in English. The first one was with Cairo X, which is the creator of Lucid Nightmares and the recently rated and placed top 1 demon, I think in Space 2. But this time we have a very special guest. Some of you may know him by the infamous Sonic Blaster remix, and the majority of you know him for being the lead developer of the iconic mod Geode. So, if you please give it up for the one and only HJFod. I almost forgot the caps.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. Just chilling. How about you?
Same. It's kind of early here. I suppose it's like 7 p.m. where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In here it's like 10 a.m. So the
Right,
zone
okay.
I've worked with different time zones, so don't worry about that. Well, let me introduce you to the people, and I want everyone to know who are you? Like, who is HJFod?
So, currently I believe I'm best known as the lead developer of Geode, which is the only mod loader for GD right now, and I believe for the coming future, because I don't know why anyone would make another one. But yeah, we started that in 2021, and we developed it for like 3 years, and right now it's basically in a finished state. We haven't really done anything for the last 6 months because we don't have anything to do. But yeah, I'm the lead developer for Geode. I was one of the founders. I've written much of the code base. Nowadays it's not that much. At some point it was like basically 95% written by me, but nowadays it's a lot more of a group project. And then I'm also known for various other things. I made a remix of Sonic Blaster that got a bit popular. I've made YouTube videos in the past that used to be quite popular. I made a documentary on Team Rain 47. And then I've also made some levels back in the day.
Well, I didn't know you were a creator.
Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff.
That's cool. And when did you first discover GD and what drew you to it?
The first was back in like 2014 when the game was popular around like kids my age playing it on their phones at school. I was like, at first I was like, oh, what's this? Another mobile fad? I don't care. But then at some point I tried it on my brother's phone, and then that's kind of where it started. I was like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. And then I started around update 1.7 or like right when it had released. And yeah, I remember when update 1.8 dropped, and I was like, whoa, we got slopes, we got hexagon force and all that. And then it just went on from there.
Yeah, that's something like almost everyone that plays GD nowadays have in common, that they almost every time discovered GD by a friend or someone who's playing it at school. The people I have interviewed, I've also asked the same question to them because it's like my starting question, and then they all respond with the same like story. Like I was at school and someone started playing it, and then I started playing it too. It's incredible how easy a game like that can get discovered by many people,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've heard of only like 2 people who have discovered GD through just like browsing Steam or something.
It's more of like people getting introduced to the game by an external person, like a friend or. So, when did you start modding for the game?
The like modding scene as it exists, basically back in like 2020, I made this external tool called GD Share. After one of my friends asked if it would be possible, I was like, yeah, sure, I can look into that. And then with the help of GD Colon, we made that so you could export GD levels as files. That was the thing. And then at the time I was wondering, like, because at the time it was an external application that you had to run on your computer, like it wasn't integrated into GD or anything. I was thinking like, could it be possible to integrate this? So I asked one of my friends who was the developer of the 2.2 GDPS and a lot of other stuff. I asked her if she knew how to like integrate GD share into GD, and at the time she was like, "No, it's not possible. Like, it's way too difficult to make like actual integrated GD mods." And so I was like, "Okay, no worries." But then around like late 2020, I saw little tweets from a developer named Powered by Pi who made a little showcase of a mod they were working on that was basically. Well, nowadays we know it as texture loader, but at the time it was just texture pack manager thing because mods weren't a like established concept. It was just a cool one-off thing where he had managed to put a button in game to open another scene with texture packs. And like at the time I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like I was like, what the fuck? He can actually like modify the game. That's so cool. And so that at the time I was like, wow, that's cool, but I didn't immediately start modding myself. It was around like December 2020 when I joined this Discord server called GD Programming, where I started asking around like, hey, how could I make my own mod? And then they showed me a few like pointers. They showed me a couple like links, but mostly it was just trial and error and learning myself and asking people for help when my code didn't work. And then my first mod, like what we would nowadays recognize as a complete mod, was in, I think, February of 2021, which was the just menu animation. I think nowadays it's called like cool menu animation or something. It just like made the buttons in the menu layer of GD just do a little animation when you open the game.
And let's talk about Geode. Like, what moment made you like realize that you want to create something bigger?
Well, so the interesting thing here is that like the idea of a centralized mod loader or modding framework for GD has floated around since like I think 2018 or even 2017. Like at the time I started modding, there was very little organization. It was mostly just people doing stuff by themselves. But then there was also this project called Hyperdash, developed by this developer named Cos80, nowadays known as Neki. And if you are a really old GD player, you may remember the name Pavlukivan, who had a video made on him by C1997 back in like 2018. They were the two developers behind Hyperdash. And so at the time it was like everyone assumed that it's gonna be disorganized now, but when Hyperdash is released, then we're just all gonna migrate to that and everything's gonna be great. But then the thing was that Hyperdash had been started in 2018. It was already 3 years old at that point, and basically nothing of it had ever been seen. It was only a few like alpha versions passed around between a few like insiders. So at the time we assumed that okay, well it's gonna like get released eventually. But then in early 2021, when me and a few others started modding and the modding scene really started to kick off with BetterEdit and Runinfo and mods like that, then we realized quickly that okay, we're gonna need a solution to mods completely like breaking each other like now, not some years in the future when Hyperdash is released. Because like the thing was, the situation that really made Geode happen was when because I had two mods, GDShare and BetterEdit, which were both developed by me, but if you like at the time, if you used the early primitive mod loaders, if you added them in the wrong order, GDShare would just completely break because of BetterEdit, which was like a huge sign to me that okay, we need to fix this. We cannot just have every mod just try and work together with every other mod. Like we should have some centralized system that can help for technical reasons, which I probably shouldn't go into. But basically, at the time, every mod was just doing everything by itself without communicating with any other mods, and that resulted in every mod breaking because they were all trying to do the same things at the same time, and then only one of them might get to do it, or all of them might get to do it in the wrong way. So me and Powered by Pipe, a developer of Texture Loader, who made the tweet that got me into modding, and then another developer called Matt, who has made like Run Info. We got together as a group and started to work on Geode, which was at the time just nicknamed Lilac. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible how Geode became such an iconic thing for the game, and like something that every player must have, you know, because
yeah,
Geode, as you said, is like a centralized idea of mods like working at the same time, I think. I don't know much about modding, you know, but the thing I know is that there's many technical difficulties while starting to develop it.
Yep.
But I want to ask you, like, what's the hardest bug you've ever fixed?
Well, I think the hardest bug, there are, in terms of just modding in general, it was like the one that I always remember is when I was working on BetterEdit, and for some inexplicable reason, the game was crashing when you view the backups you had made of a level, but only sometimes, and it usually took a moment, which like points to it being an issue with some technical stuff, but I could not for the life of me figure out what it was until like a week later. I finally found out that for some reason, okay, so normally I do defend RobTop. He has made a great game, and he actually does like write good code. But in this situation, like there's this thing where like every single like thing you see on the screen usually calls a function called auto release, which I kind of go into detail of what it does. But basically, like every single thing on the screen you see in GD does this one thing, and it turns out that lists, like scrollable lists, do not do that thing, unlike everything else. And that was the source of the bug, because I was doing that thing to my list, and then it was crashing everything, because for some reason they do things differently. And they really have no reason to. But yeah, that was quite annoying to figure out.
And there's like, is there anything you wish Geometry Dash's base game supported that, I don't know, would make your life 10 times easier?
Well, in Geode around like 2022, we introduced an idea into the like game called layout and node IDs. Basically, everything on screen is a node, like every button and every sprite and every image, they're all nodes. And normally these nodes don't have like any identifiable information. They're just visible on screen, but you don't really have any good or easy ways to figure out which node is which in code. And how we solve that in Geode is that we have like one mod, the node IDs mod, which just like goes through everything, figures out what it is, and then just adds a little tag saying, oh, this is the main menu button, oh, this is the title screen, this is the editor sidebar. And then we just decided that, okay, this one mod does that, and then everything else afterwards can just depend on its information, like rather than trying to figure out themselves what a button is or where it is, because who knows what other mods have done to it. Like they might move the main menu button to a completely different part of the screen. So instead, there's like just this one mod that just adds a little tag that says, hey, if you're looking at the main menu button, it's over here. And that's something that, like, one of the major things that were making mods break each other before Geode was the lack of something like that. Just mods trying to like basically figure out, oh, I'm trying to look for the icon kit button and it's usually here on the screen, so I'm just gonna look there, and then they find some other buttons that some other mod has added there, and they're like, oops, oh, I was looking for a different button and I do not know how to find it anymore.
Oh, yeah. And how do you test Geode across, platforms?
Well, mostly like personally because I have a Windows device, I just test it on Windows and I hope for the best that it works on mobile.
Uh-huh.
Like usually after I've done developing a feature, I just like install it on my phone and then open it up there. Although I should know that most of the development for Mac and Android was done by the other developers. Like I didn't really have a part in that. I'm mostly responsible for the Windows version, and for that I just tested it on my own device.
Mm-hmm.
But for Mac OS, we just like for most of the platforms, we just like for Mac, we just get our Mac developers to try and test it out, and if it doesn't work, then they figure out why.
Mm-hmm.
And for Android nowadays, it's just since we are so far, we just basically everything we do should out of the box work on every platform.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do something that does require platform specific handling, then one of the developers on our team that is familiar with Android just handles it.
Mm-hmm. You just said that you work with different people. You have like a Geo team. How do you split
Yeah.
responsibilities? Like, were there were there arguments over direction, or was it just like a smooth laugh?
Well, the Geo team is like composed of, well, there were the original three developers, me, Matt, and Pi, who were behind Lilac.
Mm-hmm.
And then in like January 2022, like at the turn of the year, we merged with another framework at the time called Kakao, which was being developed by a developer named Alkim and another developer named Camila.
Mm-hmm.
And they were basically like we just joined forces, so we had a team of 5, and then over time we have like other people who have been like, oh, I want to help out, and they have joined our like lead development team. So nowadays we have a lot more developers, and usually like we don't have any set in stone organization. Everyone can do whatever they feel like doing.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever they like want to do.
Okay.
But in general, if there are disagreements, which there sometimes are, in the early days there were a lot more disagreements. Like we used to fight in lead dev chat like basically every other day about some completely minute and minor features, like something about oh, how should we make this thing look like in code, or how should we make this thing look like on the screen. And we had a lot of disagreements about well, at the time they felt like they were the most important thing in the world. And like, to be fair, some of the things we argued about were actually like really fundamental for Geode. Like at the start, we had some debates over whether we were gonna like let the Geode load like any mod, even those that weren't made for Geode. And I was very like heavily on the side of no, we should not let that happen. We should let Geode only load mods that are made for Geode,
Mm-hmm.
and actively make sure that if Geode is loaded, there aren't any other mod loaders, because otherwise something's gonna break.
Mm-hmm.
But we also had some team members who thought that Geode should be as like free as possible and load whatever it could.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think Geo was like teamwork essential?
Yeah, I mean, to be like the way that I understand it, Geode at the same time could not exist without it being a team effort. Like nowadays, I practically do nothing myself. I'm just completely freeloading off the work of others. But also, like back in 2022 and 2023, I was practically the only active developer. Like the framework would not exist if I hadn't worked on it in 2022. So it's a bit of like you needed one person or like a very dedicated group of a few people to get it off the ground and get the whole thing running. But now that it is running, we need the active team of people who will, take care of maintaining it and look through all of the boring stuff, so to speak, like everything like, oh, there's a bug, we need to fix the bug and stuff. not like building a grand mod loader, but just keeping it working. For that team is definitely necessary.
Yeah.
And also for different like platforms, because I work on Windows. I'm mostly like my expertise is in like user interfaces and stuff. So for a lot of technical stuff, we had like the second biggest contributor to Geode is definitely Alkim, the old developer of Kakao, who worked on basically all of the technical details behind the scenes that actually make Geode work. And like for those, I couldn't have done it without her help. Like she has actually, like she made basically the engine that runs Geode, while I made all of the rest of the parts of the car. And nowadays, because we have our own servers, those were developed mostly by the developer of Clobed Tank Meme, who they also like. We couldn't have done it without them. They were the ones that actually knew how to work with servers and stuff.
And were there any times, or was there a bug so big that you felt demotivated and just wanted to scrap the whole project?
Yeah, for sure. Like back in the early days, we were fighting so many like game crashing bugs. Like one of our main issues at the start were with this really technical thing called calling conventions, which were only a problem on Windows. Like on macOS, everything worked perfectly, but on Windows, there was this really annoying thing where like everything that like, because the game is made up of just a bunch of functions that call each other, like that's how programs work in general. But all of those functions had a slightly different way of how exactly they worked, and if you're ops up, you don't have to care about that. But when you're trying to mod the game, you really need to care about that. And they cause like so many issues for us. And nowadays it's not an issue because GD is 64 bits and that just completely negates everything. But at the time it was causing so much like headache, and also with some other stuff. Basically the way that the game handles text is really tied to the specific compiler that RobDub is using, and no one is using that compiler anymore. It's really old because 2.1 is really old. So we had to basically recreate it from scratch and deal with a lot of headache with that to make it so the game doesn't just randomly crash when you're showing a text pop-up or something.
Oh,
So
yeah, I imagine that's a huge headache, like recreating the whole thing out of scratch.
yeah.
But what motivated you to like keep pushing forward with the creation?
Mostly just like it was really fun and like interesting, and also because like I knew that every now and then I would just be like, okay, I need a break. I'm gonna work on BetterEdit, and then I was like, okay, so this feature I need to do for BetterEdit is like I need Geode to do it, so I might as well go back and first work on Geode and get it done so I can get BetterEdit done. So basically it was always just this loop of I work on other mods. I'm like, oh shit, these need support from Geode, so I go to work on Geode and I spend a few months fixing Geode, because while I go over to add that one feature, I notice that, oh, this other feature is broken too. Let me fix that real quick. And suddenly a quick 1 hour addition has spiraled into 3 months of completely rewriting some essential components from scratch. But yeah.
And I don't know, like, how do you handle feature requests from the community?
Mostly by just not dealing with them at all. Like in the early days, we did like have a suggestions channel and all that, but nowadays we've filled the suggestions channel with cat pictures and stuff. Like because mostly we don't. Geode itself doesn't really need that much anymore. Like the one thing that we have been like discussing for literally since the very beginning and are still like, oh, we're gonna do this someday, and people are still requesting it, is mod packs. Like I still like, I've had a plan for it for around 2 years. I've been like, yeah, I know how to do it, but we still just haven't gotten around to it. And like every time I peek in like the GD Discord server, someone asks me, "Oh, when are you adding mod packs?" I'm like, "Oh, we're working on it." But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, mostly because like Geo doesn't really need that many features itself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really get that many feature requests for it.
Mm-hmm.
For BetterEdit, I mostly just read them through, and if they seem like a good addition, then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna work on this at some point. I add them to my backlog,
Mm-hmm.
and if they seem silly, then I'm just like, yeah, sorry, this is out of scope. I'm not gonna add it.
Mm-hmm. And was there like any suggested feature that was like so bizarre and so impossible to create that you remember?
Mm, well, for Geode, I don't think we have ever like accepted many bizarre features. For BetterEdit, there have been some suggestions that I've been like, that's really weird. Why would you ever need that?
Uh-huh.
But I can't remember anything because I rarely ended up implementing them myself. Like most of us just like, that's stupid. Why would I add that and then just not add it?
Yeah. And well, we talk about better attitude, but I want to know more about that community. How do you think the community reacted when you announced Geode's publishing for the first time?
Well, the modding community, like their initial reaction was just, "Oh wow, you actually released it? What?" Because like at
They
the time
didn't
it
believe
was
it.
a running joke that Hyperdash is never coming out, and we were like, "Oh, Geode is never coming out either." And then we were just like, "Yep, it's ready for alpha," and they were like, "Oh shit, really?" But yeah, mostly at the time, like Geode was really like the reception was really mixed because like Geode was originally released in uh like 20 late 2022 and like in the middle of update 2.1.
Mhm.
So and at the time there were so many like traditional like the old mod loaders that Geode really didn't find a foothold, and it was mostly just a little test thing for people to try out, but no one really used it that seriously
Mhm.
until 2.2 came around and all the old mod loaders stopped working, and we were like, yes, now we can do the great migration over to Geode.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure. Like I feel like the growth of Geode was just really sudden and fast. Like one day we were like, okay, we need to get people to use this, and the next day we were like, oh, they are actually using it. And we're actually getting mods, and now we're actually making YouTube videos on it and
Yeah.
stuff.
So it slowly started to rise to fame and like being something that players must have after the game updated to 2.2, right?
Yeah.
So do you think
And
2.2 kind of like saved Geode, or was it like just the beginning?
well, the thing about that is like we actually kind of always planned for that. Like we didn't really seriously think that Geode would completely like shadow all the old mod loaders in 2.1, because the issue was that even if all of the modders switched to then we switched to Geode immediately, the thing is that all the users are still using the old mod loaders and they're working just fine. So why would they switch? So we knew that we weren't playing like a game of just trying to get people as fast as possible. We were playing a longer game of okay, so when 2.2 is releases, because we all knew that 2.2 would just break all mods, like that was guaranteed for technical reasons. Like everyone knew that was the case, and we basically just have this unwritten agreement with all the modders that when 2.2 releases, then you switch to Geode and then everyone starts using it
Mm-hmm.
instead of the old mod loaders. But until then, it was just Geode was just one among the other smaller mod loaders.
Mm-hmm. And how did you like deal with because 2.2 was actually, well, not actually, but it was kind of a surprise release because it was supposed to be out in October, but it was released until December, and it was basically a surprise release. How did you deal with the Geode update also?
Well, like initially we were really worried that it will take like ages to update,
Mm-hmm.
and rework everything, because like the thing is that during update 2.1, well, we did like make new like discoveries and stuff about the game. The thing is that, you know, there were no updates, so basically we were working on the same thing for all that time, so that no one really knew what it would be like to work on like the game actually being updated, because that changes like all of the details of what you have to mod, and we didn't really have any protocol for what to do in that case. But luckily it turned out that it actually was really fast to update, especially after 2.2, because we had all those protocols in place and everything was running. So when the little updates after 2.2 dropped, we could just basically, at some point it turned out that we could basically update Geode in something like a few hours only.
Yeah, and I remember like when Geode first released in 2.2, it was like something big. It was big, big. And how do you think Geode has changed from its original vision to what it is now?
Well, I mean, it is really close to what we imagined. Like, our goal was for all modding to be unified under a singular mod loader, and for mods to be published on a single like website where people can easily discover them. I think one thing that I was originally pushing for a lot but never has happened, at least so far, is I really wanted to make the like in-game downloads list to be sorted according to a ranking system, or like make it so the most downloaded mod isn't on top, but something that makes mods more like searchable and discoverable, rather than just having everyone download the most downloaded mods because they're the most downloaded, so they must be good. But we've never really done that. Now it's just the top mods are globed and node IDs and stuff because everyone has those.
And is there something in Geode today that you never planned at the beginning?
Well, iOS support actually. Like
Yeah,
back,
can imagine.
like actually, I didn't think iPhone support would ever happen until the day that I just get the Discord DM that okay, iPhone support is in beta, and was like, what? I thought it was just a tech demo. What? It's actually working? So yeah, like at the start we were, for years we were just saying that yeah, iPhone support will be fun, but it's probably never gonna happen. And I've on multiple occasions stated myself that yeah, it's never gonna happen. But then it happened, and yeah, that was quite a surprise for me, but probably not for the developers behind it who worked on the feature. And I mean, it works really well, so
Yeah, it was
all
also
props to them.
it was also a surprise for the community. In my case, when I saw that Geode was actually supported in iOS, I was like, how did they manage to do this? I always looked at iOS like this software that doesn't allow anything. Not even
Yeah.
It was so hard to get even a texture pack in iOS. Imagine like a whole mod system. It's incredible. I still cannot believe you managed to pull through and do it. So yeah, congratulations about that also.
Yeah, I mean, me neither. I still don't get how they did it. They just like, because I was thinking that iOS modding would be that just like we would like bundle some mods, like put all the most popular mods and be like, okay, here's Geode. You can't install any more mods, but you can like use these ones. But no, they just made the entire thing work, and I'm still like really confused as to how. Because I'm also like, I've lived under the impression that iOS is completely unmoddable, or like it is theoretically moddable, but not practically. But it just happened.
It just happened, and we're glad that did. So
Yeah.
and when did you realize like Geode actually started working for people and many people started using it? And yes.
I think the moment that I realized that, oh, we actually succeeded, like Geode is now the standard mod loader and it's working exactly as we hoped it would, was probably when Globed released. And everyone just went nuts, and people were live streaming playing Globed and stuff, and I was like, oh, this has got mainstream, and this is actually like no one even remembers the old mod loaders anymore. They're all here now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was like the moment I realized that, oh, we've actually done it.
Yeah. And has it ever occurred to you, like, anyone that you, I mean, anyone that you look at on the street, or somebody may or may not use Geode? Like, has it ever occurred to you how big that it actually is?
Yeah, it has. Like I thought about how I've probably passed people on the street that have actually used Geode and the mods I make, and I sometimes like think about this. It's very well possible that one day I will meet someone who'll be like, "Oh, I play GD." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Do you use Geode?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh,
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Uh, I made that."
Uh-huh. Yeah. Imagine you just tell someone you created and lead develop that mod. I don't think they would believe you. Like, it's
Yeah.
so big that I don't know, it's incredible. And do you think, like, um Geode made modding more accessible for new modders, or people who just want their mod to be famous?
Yeah, well, that's kind of a interesting question because like overall it definitely does make modding easier in many ways, but the trouble is that modding has some like fundamental like roadblocks or stuff like you just have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Like no framework can make it easier. And Geo does make like writing actual code easier, but in order to mod the game, you actually do have to understand how the game works, and there's no shortcut for that. It just requires learning reverse engineering and staring at a lot of assembly code and trying out a lot of things by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And those things are required for every mod, and those are also usually the hardest parts. Or like if you get past those, then you can do anything. But if you don't know how the game works, then you will be like, why is my mod working? And it's for those who understand how the game works, it's obvious, but for those who don't, it's completely like impassable.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think Geode is like, yeah, it does help people to get their mod recognized, but at the same time, I think it takes really like this much patience to develop a whole mod, and like n- dealing with game crashes and dealing with, oh, this doesn't work, but the other thing does work, and if I make the other thing and if I make this thing work, the other thing will probably break. So I think it's like incredible how patient developers are, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what's like the most impressive mod you've seen made with Geode?
Well, I mean, Globe is really impressive. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually like back in the early 2. Or like 2.1 when modding just got big, there was a mod called GD Multiplayer, which was basically Globe just 3 years early. And at the time, I was like, what the hell? How did they do this?
Mm-hmm.
But GD Multiplayer was really laggy and buggy and crashed all the time. And it was not at all what Globe is, because Globe is like incredible just how like they put so much effort into it. And also the development of Globe, like it has become in some sense the new BetterEdit, because in like 2.1 the situation was like, as I said before, that I had to make something for BetterEdit, and then I realized that, oh, I need Geo support for this. So Geo basically developed because of BetterEdits.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays it's more that Geo develops because of Globe, because Globe needs something from Geo. So the developers just hop on and fix Geo to make Globe work better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there are also some other mods that like shouldn't be possible, but they just are.
Mm-hmm.
Like actually one of the earliest ones that I was really impressed with was probably there's this mod called DevTools, which we have, which I was originally impressed by because it doesn't use the GDUI at all. Like it's just an what we call an IM GUI, like immediate mode GUI uh, window, and that was quite something to see at the time.
It was like something separated, like from the UI, or
Yeah,
oh, well, that's
yeah,
impressive.
it's basically like if you open like the developer tools on
Mm-hmm.
your web browser, it was
Mm-hmm.
the same thing, but for GD.
Oh, and you know, Geode has also, well, it's basically the home of every mod in the game, and it's also the home of the mod that sparked controversy along the re-verification and the community in general. That is the click between frames mod. What is your opinion about it? Should it be like a controversial discussion or?
Well, our official stance, like on click between frames, is basically uh, we we have this like categorization normally for most mods where we're like, okay, you have to either mark it cheating or not. If it changes physics or in any way, we say that you have to mark it as a cheat. But for click between frames, because we really don't want to get into the debates,
Mm-hmm.
like it is basically in this limbo state where we will never force the developer to mark it as cheating, and like uh, we also will never feature it, even though it otherwise definitely would be featured.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just like, we don't want to touch that rabbit hole. We don't want to
Mm-hmm.
and end up looking like we explicitly consider it not cheating. Personally, I think like if you use it and you're honest about using it, I don't see any reason why it should be considered cheating. Like
Mm-hmm.
generally in video games, if you yourself think that you are like not cheating, like you feel like you are accomplishing stuff, and if you yourself like don't lie about it to others, then I see zero reason to consider it cheating. Like
Yeah.
the extreme example would be that if you think that no clipping levels personally is an achievement to you, then I wouldn't consider it cheating, although I would say that you shouldn't probably gain stats from that because
Yeah.
the stats are directly visible to other players and directly affect your global ranking.
Mm-hmm.
But like on a personal level, I think if people are fine with using it, I don't see any problem. And
Mm-hmm.
for clip between frames, I don't know. It's whether it changes physics is really like it's more of a question of philosophy than of like practical matters. Like it's really icky on whether
Yeah.
it changes physics and whether the changes, if it does, whether it changes too much. Like there are so many things that can affect your like skill in the game, or like it can be like how good your monitor is, how good your hardware is.
Mm-hmm.
Did you sleep well last night? Did you eat well?
Yeah.
It's there's so many things that can affect whether you're concentrating well and playing well and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
both stuff in yourself and both like your hardware and everything there. So I think click between frames is it's it's such a small change that I don't really see like the issue.
Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be as a big controversial discussion as it is, you know, because as you said, it depends on like how you eat, how you like do on the game, how you do in your day, and how you perform in the game. Instead of just changing the physics, and yeah, as you said, it's difficult to create a solid opinion about it because it's, you know, at the limbo. And the thing is
Yeah.
that many people criticize Doggy for using it on his grid verification, but I don't see any problem with it. I mean, if it's a revolutionary thing in the game, there's been revolutions in the game like physics bypass or FPS bypass at the time that also were as controversial as CVF, but they
Yeah.
ended up being allowed. Well, physics bypass was banned recently, but the FPS bypass was actually allowed, and we can compare that with CVF right now. So,
Yeah.
talking about Geometry Dash and Geode in general, do you think Geode helped keep the game alive?
Well, I would love to say that definitely, but at the same time, update 2.2 like is in many ways a significantly better game than update
Yeah.
2.1. Like 2.2 fixed so many like little but long-standing issues with a lot of things that like when 2.2 dropped, I was for sure I was like, okay, actually this game is now playable without mods, like perfectly. It's a lot better. But at the same time, like I do think that Globe has definitely like positively impacted the game, and I think even RobTop has recognized that,
Yeah.
and Geo too. So, but it remains to be seen. I mean, update 2.2 in GD terms is still really young.
Mm.
So, and also we don't really have a reference point to know if Geode is like helping or if GD will be doing as well as it is
Mm.
even without it. But I do think that it has been positive, and also for those people who were playing in like late 2.1 who might have otherwise lost interest if there weren't mods. I think for those people, modding did like definitely help and make the wait for 2.2 a lot more bearable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do you think you created like another? I don't know if saying niche is appropriate, but do you think you created like another side of the community with Geo? Like you have creators, you have players, texture pack creators. You also now have modders. Do you think Geo helped expanding the mod community in GD?
Yeah, definitely. Like
Mm-hmm.
the modding community when I joined it back in 2021 was basically just a few people who had an interest in making little hacks and other tools like that. And after modding got big in early 2021, mostly thanks to me and Matt and others starting to make mods, and actually like mods that weren't just like, oh, here's no clip, but actually like made like BetterEdit made creating a lot better, and
Mm-hmm.
run info, which gave you a lot of interesting and helpful tools. Like the main thing is that modding turned in like early 2021. It turned from just like a curiosity and making cheats into like actually making useful quality of life additions to the game,
Mm-hmm.
and that definitely attracted a new audience of developers. Like a lot of people, like a lot of developers have joined them. There are some that have been there from the beginning. Like there's C. Walton, who has been playing GD for, I don't know, probably before it was even released, because
Mm-hmm.
they're a grandpa and have been playing this game for ages and also been modding it for ages. But most modders nowadays are like because of, well, not Geode, because Geode is younger than the 2021 modding boom, but most modders are due to that.
Yeah. And what is like the most surprising feedback you've received about Geode?
Hmm. Uh, that's a good question. I gotta think for a sec.
Yeah.
I can't come up with anything directly. Like most of the feedback we've gotten has been like, "Oh, this makes the game a lot more fun. I can now install mods." And a lot of the feedback is, of course, "Why is my game crashing? Please help." Uh, I can't think of anything that has like stuck out to me as like interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are
Yeah.
definitely been some stuff that I haven't been expecting, like uh, especially some negative stuff like crashes and stuff, where I'm like, oh, I did not think that would be possible.
Mm-hmm. But do you think modding helped stop players from losing interest in GD?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely did. Or like, I personally like I lost interest in creating in like 2020
Mm-hmm.
after I finished my one and only featured level. I was for a long time I was like clinging in, making few mega collab parts, but eventually I just realized that I just do not give a shit anymore. And like I wouldn't be playing this game if I didn't start modding it. Like I would have just moved on to other things. But
Mhm.
then GD Share and menu animation and BetterEdit came along and completely like revitalized my interest for the game, but
Mhm.
just in a different angle of instead of creating like levels, I was instead creating mods and mod loaders.
Mhm. Well, we talk about Geode's impact and how Geode actually helped the game in many ways, in very positive ways. But do you think that if Rocktop just called you right now and like, well, not called you, but reached out to you and like told you we're making Geode official, what would you think about that? Would you take the opportunity?
Yeah. I think I've talked about this on some Discord servers in the past, but
Mhm.
basically, we definitely will say yes to RobTop asking to make Geode official. Although there are some concerns with some technical stuff that would have to be sorted out, but
Mm.
in general, like absolutely, there's literally no reason to say no. Like
Yeah.
we would definitely be up for doing that. And there have been times in the past when we've been like, oh, is actually looking into doing that, because at one point RobTop joined the Geo server and the Globed server,
Mm.
and at that time we were like confused and thinking like, oh, is he actually gonna like Geo official? But nah, he was just there to see what's going on.
Yeah, he was just there. And didn't you freak out when you saw that he joined?
Yeah, I was just like, oh, quick, go delete all the messages about his code being ass.
Yeah. Well, talking about Geode's future, can we know what does the next big step look like for Geode?
Uh, Probably looks like update 2.21 being released and Geode being updated to that. But like in for Geode itself, I think it was around last year, like summer last year, when I just realized that, oh, it's basically done. Like the only major user facing thing we have left to implement are mod packs
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the sorting system for mods, but mostly just that. And otherwise, it's in maintenance mode. Like I don't think Geode itself is going to get anything anything like major in the future. It possibly could. I'm not entirely happy with how the user interface looks like right now, with its color scheme being completely different from GD itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure if I will ever do anything about it. Like the current UI took me around 4 months to make.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I have another 4 months in me to spend on Geode. I've already spent 3 years or something on it. So
Yeah. And how long do you plan to keep on updating it?
I mean, that completely depends on how long we have people to maintain it. Like like I've said, I haven't personally done much to maintain it in ages, but I mean, probably when the next update drops, I will be there to look and make sure that everything works.
Mm-hmm.
But like right now, for as long as there are people who have the know-how and interest in maintaining it, then it will just be updated, because currently the process is really simple. Like, I mean, relatively simple. Like much of the code is just you just fix a few things that are holding it all together, and then it just all comes for free after that.
Mm-hmm. Well, we already talked about everything in Geode, but I want to know, like, outside of modding, well, you told us a little bit about you at the beginning, but I want to know, what does your logo mean?
It's just an H and a J, but really stylized on top of each other.
Oh, I see it now. I didn't see it at the
Yeah,
beginning.
that.
I was trying to look what it was, but I already see it. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. It is quite abstract. Like I designed it back in, I think, 2019 or something,
Mm-hmm.
because I was looking for a new logo for my YouTube channel, and then I at some point just drew this shape, and I was like, yeah, that looks good enough.
Yeah, I didn't see it until now. And do you play other games and do they inspire like your work?
Well, I usually tend to say that I don't really play video games. I mean, that's not literally true. Like, I do play Portal games like once a year, and I do play like Minesweeper and Bloons Tower Defense and stuff like that. And I do sometimes play like shooters with my friends IRL, but in general, I don't really play video games. Like, I've never played Elder Scrolls or Dark Souls or anything like that. I do not have the attention span for single player games. They're just
Mm-hmm.
not that interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. And is there like a fun fact about you that most people do not know?
Uh, well, hmm. I mean, I'm trying to think of what's a fun fact that most people wouldn't know, because I do a lot of things. I guess one thing that I don't talk that much of or that often on the internet, because I am known for creating music as
Mm-hmm.
the remixer of Sonic Blaster. But in my free time, I do like dancing a lot. Like, I've taken dance lessons since I was like 5 years old.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
So I guess that's a fun fact.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, you just mentioned that you also create music, and I want to briefly talk about the infamous Sonic Blaster mashup. How did that come about?
So, okay, so basically the story behind that is that at the time, Zimner 12 was showcasing previews of Sonic Wave Infinity on the GD Discord server, which didn't have Robtop in it. This was back in 2019. At that time, it was just a GD Discord server, and Zimner 12 posted a showcase of Sonic Wave Infinity, and it had a absolutely terrible Sonic Blaster cover on it. Like, I was just like, please, you need a better remix. And he was like, oh, do you have any suggestions? And then in the next 3 hours, I just cooked up the remix and sent it like, please use this one. It's at least bearable.
Yeah. And did you expect it to blow up in the community that way it did?
No, it was just a thing I made for that one showcase of Sonic Wave Infinity. I didn't like become the standard remix for Sonic Blaster.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess because I actually made it with the intention of it being at least better than what was out there, I guess that made it stand out.
And do you think that mashup like was your first big impact in the GD community?
Well, no, not really. Like,
Uh-huh.
my first, what would be or could be considered a big impact, was that I made a recreation of Ultimate Destruction, like the original GD level, back in 2014, which got, I think it's the second most downloaded, or not sure if it is anymore, but at least at the time it was the second most downloaded remake of the level.
Mm-hmm.
And it even got a video made on it by GD Colon back in the days when we were both completely unknown,
Oh,
which was interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, I've had a lot of serial one-hit wonders in the GD community, so
Yeah, you had
the Sonic Blaster remix definitely seems to be one that has made me the most famous aside from Geode. Like, if people recognize me anywhere nowadays, it's usually that they say, "Oh, it's the Sonic Blaster remix guy."
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. So yeah, as you said, there were many like one-hit wonders from your part until the big one that was Geode. Yeah, we talked about everything now, and I want to move on to the second activity, which is like a small hall of fame that I ask
Yep.
for 3 legendary players, best levels ever, and funniest moment. We will be starting with, in your opinion, which are 3 legendary players in the game?
Well, I did, like, right before we started, I saw that Zobros had started streaming their first reaction to 2.2, and I was like, yeah, There's 3,000 people viewing this, and I entirely get why. Like, Zobros definitely has had a huge impact on the game.
Yeah.
Also, he's Finnish, so I gotta like give a little bit of props for that. Another player that definitely has impacted the game. Well, I mean, there are all the standard answers like, oh, riots and Sonics and everyone who has verified like big levels. But I think in terms of, because I'm an old creator and I like to think in terms of creating, like some of the, I think, I need to check the name because I have forgotten. Sherifo, that's it. Sherifo, who made some levels back in 1.8, and definitely that this inspired me as a creator and has inspired many others. Like, Sherifo is definitely, in my opinion, legendary.
Yeah. And
I need to check the name.
Well, which are the 3 best levels ever in your opinion?
Well, I mean, there's a reason everyone likes Death Moon by Funny Game. It's just really good. It's just so good. And back in the day, I used to like constantly talk about In Silico by Ruffer. It's a fantastic level in every way. Nowadays, I replayed it a few days ago, and it was a bit. It's a bit worse than I remembered, but it's still like really good.
Yeah, I love.
And Ruffer makes really good stuff. And I guess another level I just really like you could probably tell from the remix, but I just really like Sonic Wave. It's just there's something about that I find fascinating. Like, I've seen basically like up until I think 2021, I've seen basically every single remake of Sonic Wave that I could find. There's just something about, like, I understand on an intuitive level why people get remaking it, because it's a really good level.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it also doesn't get old anytime. Like, it's so legendary that many people keep on recreating it, and every time there's a new remake, it feels refreshing to see it, even though it's the same level. I myself have beaten all of them. I'm just missing the one that, like, the most recent one. I think it was called Sonic Wave Unlimited, the Insane Demon. Yeah, that one.
That I haven't seen.
Yeah, I'm just missing that one. I don't think I'll ever read it. It's not my. It doesn't kill me, you know. It doesn't. Yeah, it's not my type of remake as the other ones.
Oh, I opened up a video of Sonic Wave Unlimited, and it's playing my remix.
Oh, it's your remix. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the actual song of the level is that, but at least this Nexus video is using that.
I think it is. I'll just have to.
Oh my.
Yeah. And what's the funniest moment you've experienced related to the game, to Geometry Dash?
Well, I mean, I've been playing this game for over 10 years now, so there's been a lot of funny moments, but
if you want, you can
hard to pick out a single. I'm trying to remember all the fun I've had, because the thing is that basically every day in Geode, like, the developer chats are just full of people cracking jokes, like completely unintelligible jokes if you don't know how to mod the game. Like, they're intended for an audience of 20 people, but they're some of the funniest stuff ever. Like, one time I made some, if you know The Onion, the news website news website that makes parody news of US stuff. One time I started making, like, basically it was called the Daily Geode. If you remember the Daily Demon from Twitter from years ago, it was that, but just for Geode news. And those are still archived on the Geode server, because that was just a lot of fun to do.
Well, we're done with the second activity, so we're moving on to the third and the last one, which is the signature. If you go to the whole channel, you will see like there's many signatures from the people that have been here. You can see people's like
Yep.
persons like Las Alex, Cairo X, etc., etc. So if you please can do your signature, you can do like your logo, you can do whatever you want. You can also paste an image if you want to.
Yep.
Just don't make it that big because I don't have much space and I want to do 3 or 2 episodes more.
Yeah. Well, a second. I'm gonna get my drawing pad so I can draw this a little better than just with my mouse.
It's going to be good. Well, so here is the. Oh, it's really nice. I liked it. I really love it.
Thank you.
This is the signature for HJFod, the creator of
Yep.
Geo, lead developer, the author of the Sonic Blaster remix, also BetterEdit, and yep. So that was the episode. I hope you. Oh my god! I think I leaked something right now. Well,
Whoops.
if you saw anything, you didn't. So yeah. Thank you for participating, man. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you for reminding me.
This was a very chill episode. I really liked it. And I really hope to see you again anytime soon. Take care.
Yeah. See ya. Take care, you too.